Hi, welcome. Good evening. This is Scorecard on Channel 1 TV. I am Gabi Ofe, and thank you so much for staying with us. Happy Easter to all of you out there. I mean, I guess you went to church. Myself, I did. I did my ushering duties, and so I'm back here to serve you the very latest in the world of sports. We'll touch on the major European leagues, but we'll be starting off from the PL, the Premier League, which was March week 33. Some clubs chalked wins, some also lost. Leicester City joined Southampton in the relegation or championship football next season. We'll take you to the Spanish La Liga, and then we'll touch on some Serie A as well. It's all right here on Scorecard on Channel 1 TV. I am Gabi Ofe. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest for today's conversation, and then we set the ball rolling. Welcome back to the show. I am Gabi Ofe. This is Scorecard on Channel 1 TV, and we are proudly sponsored by Soccer Bet. Yeah, you know how to do it. Soccer Bet. Just head there and go put some small money and you win big. Susu will tell you more about it. He is a very good one when it comes to dealing with the odds and stuff. So welcome back to the show. Susu is my guest for today's conversation. Mr. Susu Graham, good to see you. Why are you smiling like that?
Oh, I didn't know I was an expert.
You didn't know?
I didn't know.
So I 300 of us.
I didn't know. I'm surprised.
Okay.
I'm good at numbers, though.
You're good at numbers.
I'm good at statistics.
So you deal with the Opta supercomputer and stuff. But you know, it can also translate into boys winning some cool cash.
Of course.
When they get to Soccer Bet.
Look, it's all about pattern recognition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's hope for us all.
Okay. Let's start off the show. Remember, it's an interactive show, so you can always send in your thoughts on what you think about any of the highlights we'll be touching on. We'll start off with the PL. The EPL was March week 33. We'll take you to the Goodison Park, where Manchester City had to rely on O'Reilly and also Mateo Kovacic to give them all 3 points. Enjoy. All right, so big 3 points for Manchester City at Everton's home ground. The Goodison Park, they beat the Toffees by 2-0. O'Reilly and also Mateo Kovacic getting all 3 points for Pep Guardiola's side. What it means is that the title, or the top 5 race, is actually blown wide open. And today the conversation is actually around which of the 4, 5, or 6 teams can actually be part of maybe Liverpool and Arsenal to make a complete top 5 and represent England in next season's Champions League. Susu, Manchester City, should I say they are looking to put up a very, very good performance in the last couple of games?
Oh, yeah.
To end the season. So,
sure.
5 more games to end the season, right?
For sure. They want to finish strong. There's also an FA Cup that can be won. They have a semi-final against Nottingham Forest. I'm not sure exactly when that is, but that will be in the coming weeks for sure. Then there's a potential final, which will be played before the end of the season. So it's not like usually when it's played at the end of the season after. So we played before the season. So it could add some fixture congestion for an unlucky team. But look, it just shows how tight it is. Because Nottingham Forest, though they've not played, they've dropped down to 6. Yeah. I do think that luckily for them, they are playing West Ham and I want to say Leicester or something. You mean
their next
they have West Ham and Leicester.
Okay, those games in there. So they play Spurs tomorrow.
Yes.
I think there's West Ham too in there.
Yes, that's what I said. And I think one of the teams that's already relegated. Because let's be honest, Ipswich, though we've not gotten there, Ipswich are gone because per their results, they have to win all their games. Yeah. And then Wolves and West Ham also have to lose all their games. They're not going to win all their games. So mathematically, there's a chance, but it's very slim. So I think, look, Man City are playing very well towards the end of the season. O'Reilly has been playing quite well in the limited minutes he's been given. It makes you wonder why Pep didn't give him more of a chance. Yeah. And, you know, that's why sometimes when these
to be honest, he got me reading about him or trying to dig up the numbers around him. I'm talking about Nico O'Reilly. Because like you said, when you look at Manchester City's last couple of games they've played, he's either assisting or scoring, or he's even behind the pre-assist, that kind of stuff. But then again, I don't know why Pep seems to some way, somehow, sometimes ignore him.
I think Pep is, he has that Italian mindset that I don't like young players unless they are very, very good. Yeah. Because even look at Phil Foden, how long it took for Phil Foden to become a starter.
Yeah, that's true.
If we are being honest, Phil Foden only became a true starter in the Man City team last season. For the longest time, he was more of a bench option, play here and there, but he was not a bona fide starter, you know. So for me, I think that he has that kind of Italian mentality. And we see with Ancelotti, with Endrick and Arda Güler at Real Madrid. Yeah. He just doesn't trust young players. He prefers the experienced guys who know what they are doing, know what it takes to win. Bide your time. Your time will come. But for a young player to play for some coaches, you have to be exceptional. And I think maybe he feels O'Reilly is not exceptional. But look, considering what Gundogan and Bernardo Silva have been doing most of their season, even Phil Foden, they've been poor. Sure, I find it hard to believe that O'Reilly would have been worse. I mean, he would have done something different. He would have brought some energy. He would have brought some legs. So I think it was very disappointing on Pep's part. But look, if they finish in the top 5 and win the FA Cup, I think everything will be forgiven. Well, remember, it was a very poor season, a very poor title defense. At the end of the day, what you need is Champions League football, and a trophy will be a bonus for a club like Man City, because you need to make sure your finances are in order, and a trophy just makes it all the more sweeter.
So, you think that if they win the FA Cup, they finish in the top 5, it kind of would wipe away what?
Oh, no, I think for Man City standards...
That's probably maybe a way to appease the fans.
No, I think that's a season salvaged.
Okay.
It's a failure of a season considering their standards, that they didn't challenge for the title.
Yeah.
They didn't push Liverpool to the end. That's a failure for the standards they have. But the season is salvaged because if you do that, you win the FA Cup, you finish in the Champions League, you can say that, look, this is not our standard, but it's a good season, quote unquote. We can do better. For Man City standards, that's a what? 5 out of 10 season?
Yeah.
For most teams, that would be an 8 out of 10 season, if not a 10. So that's why I'm just saying that for most teams, look, you get a season like that, you take it all day. Newcastle in a similar situation. They've won their Carabao Cups already. Their season already a 7 by default.
Yeah.
You add Champions League, that makes it a 10 out of 10 season. So it's just to show that, okay, the standards are different at Man City, but that's a fairly successful season that they won't complain about at all. Okay,
just quick thoughts on Everton. I thought that you look at their record at home this season under David Moyes. They've been very decent. A lot of the performances, the good performances, have come from the Goodison Park. I actually did not see this result coming because I think City had to come into the game somewhere around the 80th minute going.
Well, if you notice, part of what happened is that Tarkowski went off late. I think he got an injury, and then the goals came after. And you know, if you're a team like Everton, the drop-off in quality from your starters to your bench is usually a lot bigger because you don't have as much money to spend on backups. And the second thing is because of the drop-off in quality, when you're competing against a team with better players than you, you need every man to be on their job. So once Tarkowski went off, look, Tarkowski has not missed a game, a league game since he joined. Yeah. Since he left Burnley to join Everton, he's not missed a game. So the team, he is the team.
Yeah, he's especially the defense.
Exactly. So for him to go off injured, it was definitely going to be an issue. And I believe that kind of jig-up, is it Michael Keane? Is that his name?
Yeah, no, yes, Michael Keane.
His brother is Will. If you remember, he and his brother came up in Manchester United. So I was trying to remember which one it is.
If he was the right person.
He's Michael. His brother is Will. So Michael Keane came in, and if you remember, Michael Keane was starting at a point, and he's been dropped. Other guys have come in, Branthwaite, O'Brien, and who's who. So he's not that guy anymore. So once you bring him in, the quality goes down. And some of these things are maybe the organization, the chemistry, the communication is just different. So I'm not saying it's his fault, but when you change your center backs from a guy who plays basically every game without fail to a guy who's now your backup or third or fourth choice center back, it changes the dynamics of it for sure. So I think that's just what happened, and they just got unlucky with injuries in a sense. Okay, great. Let's hear from you what you think about City's win. Where do you actually see City finishing? Do you actually agree with Susu's thoughts? I've seen that some people have I think right now
began texting.
I'll say that my top 4. I'll say who I think it will be right.
I remember 5. you mentioned that Forest would.
I think I'm sure. No, I said Forest would.
Forest will maintain.
Yes, it was Chelsea. I didn't think would make it.
Okay, Chelsea. I think Chelsea have got tough fixtures coming up.
Yeah, and Chelsea are tied with Nottingham Forest, but they're ahead on goal difference in 5th. So my top 5 right now, you know, I had Bournemouth earlier in the season, but they've dropped off very hard. Yeah. And I just don't expect them to come back. So right now I'm looking at Forest, Liverpool, of course, Arsenal, of course, Newcastle, and Man City. But I think if I had to put a team...
No Villa?
That's what I'm saying. If I had to put a team that is the next to replace one of these 5, it would be Aston Villa. You think Villa would make it? I think they are also in a good kind of... They have good momentum. But they also have an FA Cup coming that could tire them out. And they also have some tough games as well. Newcastle, Villa, and Chelsea, they all have quite tough games where they'll be playing.
Especially with Chelsea. Yeah. I think in there's Liverpool, there's Arsenal, there's United, there's Everton.
Like I said this last week, that if they get 6 points from their next 6 games, I'll be very surprised because I didn't even see them beating Fulham. So
yeah,
for me, I think Chelsea have very difficult games. So if Chelsea manage to make it, I'll be very surprised. But I'll just say hats off to Enzo Maresca because he was brought in to raise the level, get them to the Champions League. And if he does that, that's a success. Okay,
we'll talk about Chelsea a bit later, but let me try and chip in some messages. This is from a cat texting from Dan Suman says, "Good evening, Channel 1 TV sports team. Why are all Channel 1 TV sports analysts, including Susu Graham, not giving Chelsea any chance of qualifying for the Champions League?"
I'll explain.
Yeah, so just hold on to that for me. Another one to texting. This is Edia TV from Lome Togo. Says, we really appreciate what you are doing for sports in general and for football in particular. So you are saluting coach and his family. Merci beaucoup. Okay, that's how we say it, right? French.
Yeah,
merci beaucoup. Okay, I think I got it right. Yeah. I really want that guard of honor to happen at the Liverpool vs Arsenal match. You never walk alone. Sally and Lassan texting from Brekum. Some more messages, and today we have a lot of messages already in for the show. Congrats to Barca.
Everyone is enjoying their holiday.
Yeah, congrats to Barca and Man City for spicing up my weekend, which was prepared by Coach and the Scorecard crews. So maybe he listened to us and, like he said, did some steaks and whatever, and it happened.
God is good.
From Sir Aristo of Seshi Bekwai. Greetings to the aristocrats family. Okay. Hello, guys. Pep was forced to start giving O'Reilly opportunities when Chelsea made a bid for him in January. Pep didn't want the mistake of selling him as he did to Cole Palmer. So, Reg from DC. Okay. Let me take this last message. This one says, "Good evening to you guys. Last Thursday, my club, Manchester United, did it the United way, and we are winning the Europa League by hook or crook." This is Tropatoni from Dansuma Tunga. Hey! You are winning the Europa League.
Coach has said this. Coach is leading the charge.
Don't join Coach Christopher Nimley. You are winning the Europa League. Okay. We'll talk about United a bit later. Let's take you to the Villa Park. It was Aston Villa taking on Newcastle United. That game ended 4-1. Well, in 18 competitive home games for Aston Villa, they had won 12 and drawn 6. But I did not see that scoreline coming. 4-1 for Aston Villa, hammering Newcastle United. And I thought that Villa would win that game, but not that scoreline, Sisu.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a 2-0 would have even been a surprise in terms of considering the level of these two teams, the kind of pressure in the Champions League race, how close they are, and how well both teams have been playing in recent weeks. I thought this was a 1-goal game in the sense that it was going to be decided by 1 goal. So 2-1, 3-2, 1-0, something like that. If not even a draw. So very surprising results. But I think Newcastle were the architects of their own downfall. I think they struggled with the Aston Villa press. Let me not say they're the architects of their own downfall. I think that's a bit far. I think the Aston Villa press suffocated them and they couldn't play out because a lot of their goals, they were a bit sloppy at the back trying to get the ball out. At least two of their goals. And then forced them
into some errors
too. I will say 2 of their goals. It's more they were trying to get the ball out. They really couldn't. So I think I'll say the Onana goal and I won't say even Watkins' goal.
Yeah.
Those 2 goals, they kind of just couldn't get out and then they considered those goals. And it makes it very difficult when you're in that situation. You're trying to get out and you just can't. So for me, it was a masterful performance by Unai Emery. The press worked. He figured out what worked against Newcastle and he exposed Newcastle's weaknesses. And going, like we said, because it's a very tough and tight Champions League race, other coaches are watching this. And this right now might be the solution to how you beat Newcastle. Just press them hard. They seem to be struggling to get the ball out of their back.
But I thought there were teams that were unable to find solutions with teams that do press them. If I want to look at the physicality of this team, combined with, I think Newcastle themselves are very good architects of trying to beat the press from opponents. But this was very shocking to me. They look like a team that had zero answers to what Villa were doing.
Newcastle?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing. Unai Emery is I think Unai Emery is a better coach than Eddie Howe, in my opinion.
Unai Emery is a better coach than Eddie Howe. Well, yes. Yeah, I agree.
So when two coaches have similar teams of similar level, sometimes that being the better coach, being a bit more intelligent, a bit more experienced, a bit smarter, that's when these things come to the fore, and that's what can lose you some of these games more heavily than you'd expect. So it's an interesting one for sure, but look, it is what it is. I think Aston Villa have a good record against Newcastle at Villa Park under Unai Emery. If you remember, I believe there was a opening day of the season where they beat them like 4-0 or something. So I think he has their number in that sense. So it's also not a bit of a surprise there. But like I said, we expected the win, but not quite to this degree. So it just shows that there's a lot of quality battling for those last, I'll say, 3 Champions League places.
And Villa have got immense quality. You speak of the quality because you look at the players they've got. Asensio, Marcus Rashford, very good in the Champions League against PSG.
Morgan Rogers is
Rogers.
Even Jacob Ramsey, we are not hearing of him much this season. He's quite a good player. Leon Bailey, John McGinn, Yuri Tillemans.
The chap from Dortmund, Ian Matson.
And even Daniel Malin.
Daniel Malin too,
exactly.
True.
So there's a lot of quality players in there for sure. I think they definitely have a deeper squad than Newcastle, but Newcastle are not playing in Europe, so they didn't play in Europe, so it didn't matter too much, in my opinion.
Well, let's see which are the two teams between Aston Villa and Newcastle United. Which one of them will get into the top 5 places for Champions League football next season? Let's get to some more highlights. We'll take you to the Craven Cottage where Chelsea had to live late to beat Fulham, and we'll also take you to the Old Trafford where Manchester United lost to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Back-to-back highlight for you. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is Scorecard on Channel 1 TV. I'm Gabi Ofe. I'm here with Susu Graham. You can join the conversation or join the show by sending your thoughts on the WhatsApp number displayed on your screen. We started off with the English Premier League highlights for match week 33. Let's continue. Let me take some quick thoughts from Susu Graham before we bring you some more highlights from the last 2 matches we saw. Fulham losing to Chelsea and also Wolverhampton Wanderers beating Manchester United by 1-0. So just quickly,
the Man U one is the easiest one to do. I mean, we know that they are poor in the league. We expected them to be poor. We expected them to struggle in this game because we expected a lot of changes, more academy players. Ruben Amorim has said as much that the Europa League is the focus. They are now safe from relegation, so there's really nothing to play for in the league. I think they are playing for...
today he started some young chap.
Exactly. They are playing for a difference in prize money. That's what they are playing for right now. So that was to be expected. And look, they played 120 minutes on Thursday as well. So just a tired team, a poor team, little incentive for this game. So another bad result in the Premier League.
You're not surprised.
As expected. I think the Chelsea one was a bit more surprising. But I have to say the quality of those 2 finishes were incredible. I think... with all due respect to Bernard Leno, there's nothing he could have done. Like, these are not shots that you see
not even
very
with the
easy.
first one.
Oh, I don't think so. I think when the shot is hit one time like that, and it's that accurate, it's very difficult to save. I think, and it was hit hard.
Yeah.
It was a very good strike from the young man. So, looking at that, they've got a better result than I expected. I thought they were at best going to get a draw, but to respond to that texter who asked about why I don't believe in Chelsea's Champions League
finishing in the top 5.
Yes, I don't believe in their chances. I will say that it's 2 things. You don't have a striker I can look at and rely on and say that I expect him to score in most games. Nicholas Jackson is a very erratic finisher. You don't know which Nicholas Jackson is going to appear on the day.
Yeah.
And he seems to have not recovered since he came back from injury. He seems to still be playing his way into fitness. Cole Palmer has not been able to impose himself on the team this season. He's struggling for... I think he's gone like 14, 15 games without scoring.
Yeah.
And he was scoring a lot of goals last season.
Even with this game, he was very awful.
And it's not even about Cole Palmer. I'm just saying, giving an example, that he is the engine of the team and he's in bad form. Secondly, that was the second one. Thirdly, the defense. I think the defense is very poor. It's not a defense you can rely upon to keep a clean sheet. And in a situation like this where you might not necessarily score because it's Nicholas Jackson and in an off-form Cole Palmer leading the attack. You don't know where the goals are going to come from. At least keep the clean sheet and hope you can sneak a goal. Once you can't keep a clean sheet between the centre-backs and Robert Sanchez in goal, who is the 4th problem, I just don't see how this team has the momentum and the ability to stay in the Champions League race. Look, player for player, they can go toe-to-toe with any of the teams in that situation. I think if I was to do a player for player, they should be the one who should be finishing 5th. And considering they had a very big head start, considering where they came from, They should have wrapped it up by now, seriously. But once you're in this situation, you have all these tough games, you have a lot of players off form. Your players seem to be struggling in terms of quality. There's still European games that are also draining your energy because I expect them to take the Conference League seriously. It just is not a good cocktail. So for me, I don't expect Chelsea to finish in the top 5. I think their season, they've mismanaged their season in the sense that they didn't win more points when it was easy. Because we spoke about how, look, when they played Brentford and Ipswich over the last few weeks, they should have won those games. Winning those games, they would have had, what, 4 points extra? And if they had those 4 points extra, we'll be having a very different conversation looking like, look, okay, I still don't trust them, but they have this cushion that makes them difficult to displace. Now, they don't have this cushion. They are tied on points with Nottingham Forest. So whatever happens, they are not escaping Nottingham Forest this weekend. Forest lose, okay, the goal difference now swings more in your favor, but you are playing them later. You are playing Everton. You are playing Liverpool.
Arsenal, United.
No, I'm saying them Chelsea.
Oh,
Chelsea
yeah.
will also play United. I think United, they might win that game as
Yeah.
well. So I'm not sure about them.
Well, let's see where Chelsea finish at the end of the season. And to add to 6 points, to their coach too is inexperienced. So, yeah, that's why they won't finish in the top 5. Let me try and read some of the messages and then we'll do some more highlights. Let me start off with this one. This is from, okay, I've lost track of the message. Okay, yeah. Robert, watching from Kofodia, says, we will surely qualify for the Champions League. Yeah. Okay, so this is Rich Hafiz from Tamale says, just one win and Liverpool the way to a 20th Premier League title. Another one says, why is Coach Christopher Nimley? Because they scored United today, he did not come.
Oh, no.
And he's also a big fan of him.
This one, I have to talk for my.
Wondering where
I have
coach
to talk for my partner.
Your partner.
He's chopping his Easter. He was it was agreed before, long before.
Yeah, you see, Jesus has resurrected, so coach has to do the needful.
Coach has young children. He wants to spend time with his young children. Let's relax. It's not all about football.
Okay, this is from Osei, watching all the way from Sunyani. Says, a proper remontada happened for Man U, not what those people wanted to do. Unfortunately, the road ends in the semis. The final is in Bilbao, and they would want to make it. They will do everything. So you're talking about
Bilbao rested all their players.
The Europa League, yeah. But they went on to lose to Madrid.
Yeah, very late goal.
Okay, Skywalker 6 from Tadi says Chelsea will qualify for the Champions League. Okay.
Skywalker, I like that name. I'm a big Star Wars fan.
This one says, hi, how about 5 matches to go? What are the chances of Arsenal? Well, doom. No, 0 chances for Arsenal to win the title.
Mathematically, is there. What did they say?
There's nothing like
what did they say? What did they say? 1% chance, 99% hope.
See, just toying with you. Arsenal won't win the title.
They won't win.
It's done and dusted.
I agree with you, they won't win. Yeah, but let's stop saying that they can't win.
They can't win the title.
No, they can't win. They can't win.
Is there enemies no be God? Chelsea will qualify. Sisu will come back and take his words. We did here. Okay.
No problem.
Good evening, guys. Bill from Afenia says, I totally agree with Susu on his take with Chelsea. Despite this win, we'll still not make it to the top 5 because the games we should have won, Ipswich and Brentford. Chelsea went on to draw those 2 games, goalless and 2-2 with Ipswich. But great win today regardless. After this show, switching to WrestleMania. Cheers.
I will also be tuning into WrestleMania.
We're having this conversation off with Susu. He says I should stay up and watch. I'll see if I can do that.
John Cena is coming to win his 17th world title. John Cena is coming.
John Cena. He's still doing WrestleMania?
Farewell tour.
Oh,
this
Charlie.
is last year. So farewell tour.
Let's do some more PL stuff. Let's take you to the Portsmouth Road. Ipswich losing to Arsenal by 4-0, and then we'll bring you Liverpool's win over Leicester City at the King Power Stadium. Enjoy. All right, so it's curtains for Leicester City in the top flight league. 9 games. They've all lost all 9 games and en route to heading back to wherever they came from. That's the championship. I'm sorry, Leicester City.
And a 9 points deduction waiting for them.
Yes, there's another stuff they would have to be dealing with. Let's take another quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about Leicester and also Arsenal. All right, welcome back to Scorecard on Channel 1 TV. I am Gabi Ofe. Let me take quick thoughts from Susu Graham, and then we'll take you to the Spanish La Liga. Susu, just quick one. Arsenal winning, and also Leicester getting relegated.
Yeah, Ipswich have been very poor at home, so another poor result. And look, like I said, if you look at where West Ham and Wolves are, they are 15 points behind both with 5 games left, meaning they have to win all their games, and one of those two has to lose all their games, and they also have to make up the goal difference. With all due respect, that's not happening.
It's impossible.
So, like I said, 99% chance. What was it? 99% hope, 1% chance is there for them. But realistically, I think their time is also up. So, very disappointing. And I think a good result for us now. But you have to worry about Bukayo Saka. I think that tackle on him by Leif Davis was horrendous. And sometimes you wonder for these players, because some of these tackles they experience, you get afraid. You're like, this guy, he's what, 22, 23?
I'm sure Arteta saw that tackle and he was like, oh boy, please, I beg you. I have PSG to take care of.
Yes, exactly. So and look, Liverpool, I think they could have scored earlier. They were lucky with the disallowed goal. I think we all know you can't really challenge keepers that much. So 50-50 decision, in my opinion. If the goal had stood, I would not have been surprised, but I'm also not surprised that it was disallowed anyway. And eventually the pressure they got their results. And Trent Alexander-Arnold got a nice moment. I think this will be one of his last few moments for the club. So all in all, I think just very routine. We expected them to win. We expected them to win by more.
Yeah.
So a little bit disappointed, but it is what it is. And they'll take it because what they want is their 3 points. And they are one step closer to the title.
Okay, one step closer to the title. Liverpool next week, they could be just crowned champions. 20th Premier League titles, tied with Manchester United. Let me read some more messages and then we'll take you to Spain. This is from Hamza from East Legon says, Susu never disliked Chelsea, even when they are good at under Roman Abramovich's era. Okay.
You see, this is not even true. I was barely on air at the time, so you can't even tell me this. I wasn't even.
See, the guy has kept track of every analysis you've done.
You know that one day after because I only started coming on air around the time that that was like my first year.
So that was like post Abramovich.
That was like 6 months ago. I just started, and Tuchel wasn't doing well. So what do you want me to say?
Maybe the guy mistaking you for someone else. This one says from Derek, watching from Agonas Radio, says Chelsea will qualify to the Champions League. Okay. Another one too says I would like to have lunch with Coach Nimley one day. All right, sure. We'll tell him so that you can have your lunch with him. Okay. Let's take you to the Spanish La Liga. We'll start off with Barca's 4-3 win over Celta Vigo, and then Atletico Madrid, they lost to UD Las Palmas. Enjoy. All right, so Barca going on to win by 4-3 against Celta de Vigo. And then Atletico Madrid misbehaving. They lost against UD Las Palmas. So just quick thoughts and then
I think, this result shows Barcelona's mentality. If you remember, they had a comeback similar to this against Benfica in the Champions League. They've done it again here against Celta Vigo. I feel like they're a team that doesn't give up. But I'm also a bit worried about how many goals they concede. Because I know it's great. Look, they average about 3 goals a game, which is great. That's where you want to be as a team, averaging 3 goals per game. But you also need your defense to kind of be in the
because you're scoring and you're also conceding at the same time.
And the thing is, when you have the thing about scoring is that some days the chances just don't win. We've seen games where Barca have been the better team, created 1 billion chances and can't score, and the other team has just scored 1 goal and gotten away with the win. So when you leave yourself that open that often, it makes me a bit scared. But look, I think the league, they'll probably wrap it up. I think they are just a bit better. I think we saw Real Madrid laboring against Athletic Club, who had made a lot of changes.
Yeah.
They still got the results in the end. I mean, the match just finished. So I think it would be a bit much for our producer to be able to get the highlights right now. So we'll spare him that one. So look, very difficult one. And look, Athletic, it was exactly what we said. They seem to have been creating the chances in the highlights. We didn't see much of Las Palmas, but just a kind of sloppy decision at the back towards the end of the game. You know, basic football, they say don't let the ball bounce. Don't let the ball bounce.
And they allowed it to bounce
several times. So by the time they knew, it was in the back of the net, late in the game, no chance to come back. And that was the 3 points for Las Palmas. So, very simple one. I think Las Palmas have also beaten Barcelona this season, if I remember correctly.
I think so. So let's just update our viewers with how the table is looking like with the La Liga. You mentioned that Atletico Madrid won. So Barca still top, 73 points. Madrid are second, 69. Atletico Madrid, 63. And Athletic Bilbao, 57. They lost today too.
Also have 5 Champions League.
Yes, 5 Champions League slots. So Villarreal. So as it stands, Barca to Villarreal cannot qualify if the league ends.
But I think looking at it, Club Athletic are in a very good position because they are 10 points ahead of Betis, who are in 6th. So I think that gap is going to be insurmountable. So I think their top 4 is secure. Yeah. But Villarreal, the team where it's a bit shaky for them.
Let me read some messages and then we'll draw curtains to the show. Good evening, guys. I'm Bedroom Hans Fleck from La Paz. He says, tell Susu Graham we don't care about his opinion about Chelsea. He has always hated us since day one. And we are not surprised. Okay. He always praises us now, even if they aren't good. He should boldly come out and say he's an Arsenal fan.
But when was the last time Chelsea finished above Arsenal in the league for me to praise them?
Another one, he says, good evening, I'm Hakeem watching from Baku. There's no way United will win this Europa League. Another one says, United will win the championship next season. So you mean they'll get relegated?
Points deduction.
Charlie, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back same time next week. My director is in my ears. He said you should close the show, so we are closing. I beg you. We'll be back same time next week, okay? Thank you so much for doing this with us. This is Scorecard. I am Gabi Ofe. Thank you so much, Susu Graham. There's more interesting shows for you on Channel 1 TV. Don't change your dial. Good night.